Mark from WatcherPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today I'm going to talk about Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife. I always say The Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, but it's Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, which is a new film. It's the second in the Hitman's Bodyguards franchise. It stars Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, Salma Hayek, Antonio Banderas, and Morgan Freeman. Just, your typical cast that you would expect to see in a wonderful summer blockbuster action film. And this movie is very, very good. It continues the story from the first movie. I will admit, I didn't see the first movie, so I don't really know much about the first one, except that Ryan Reynolds is a bodyguard. And I guess he's unlicensed at this point. I don't know if he lost his license in the first one or if he has always been unlicensed. But I guess he lost his license, or it's under review, as he keeps saying in the film. And he is thrust back into a partnership with Samuel L. Jackson, who plays a hitman. Well, I guess in the first film, from what I've been able to gather, Ryan Reynolds was guarding the hitman. And in this film, they're kind of thrust back together as a team, but then they also introduce Salma Hayek, who is Samuel L. Jackson's wife. And she is a con artist, but she's, essentially she's another hitman because she kills a lot of people and is a very fiery character in this film. And so they three are kind of an unlikely trio who have to go and help the world in this kind of ridiculous and wonderful action comedy film. I hadn't seen the first movie, and it was pretty easy to get back, get up to speed, figure out who everyone was. So if you haven't seen the first one, I wouldn't hesitate to see this movie. And this film is just funny. It's really funny. It's so insanely ridiculous and so over the top. And it was just kind of a great film to have right now after the year that this world has had. It's just a very kind of fun film to see in theaters, to laugh at the insane jokes and the insane situations. So I'm just going to go through 3 things I liked, 3 things I didn't like. I'm probably not going to have as many spoilers as I normally do in my video reviews, but I will just have a spoiler warning here. There might be some spoilers. I'll try to keep them very light. But you've been warned. So the first thing I liked, and I kind of touched on this already, is the cast. The cast of this film it's great. These characters are playing, these actors are playing characters that you would kind of typecast them to be. So that everyone is very comfortable. Everyone is very natural. You've got Ryan Reynolds, who's playing, he's kind of more of a rule follower. He's a goody two shoes kind of. I mean, he still kind of gets his hands dirty, but overall he plays kind of a very a nice guy in this relationship. But he also is he's Ryan Reynolds' self. He says whatever comes in his mind. It's usually very funny, and it's usually kind of observations about what's happening, or funny comments about the situations that are going on. And it's a very kind of Ryan Reynolds role. And next to him, you've got Samuel L. Jackson in a very Samuel L. Jackson role. He is a badass. He doesn't take shit from anyone. He is killing people left and right. And he also says whatever comes into his mind. And it's also very funny. So you have these 2 very different, very funny characters that kind of mesh very well. They play off each other really well. They have a lot of banter back and forth. And then you throw into that Salma Hayek, who plays, a character that I think we've seen from her before. She's, a little more fiery. She also says what's on her mind. Everyone kind of says what's on their mind in this film. And she has a little bit of, she's a loving character, but she also has a little bit of crazy in her, and it kind of fits very well in this group. And so all 3 of them really play well together. They play off of each other. There's a lot of really funny situations where they're, each person kind of is saying something differently, and they're all kind of interacting and all kind of throwing, comments, supports, negativity, all back and forth, and it's all just very funny. And this whole situation in this film makes it so that it's an avenue for these characters to just kind of let loose and let go and just be crazy together. You also have Antonio Banderas, who plays a kind of a millionaire, multi-billionaire probably at this in this film, who has this kind of sinister plot. And then you have Morgan Freeman, who plays, as with everyone, the most Morgan Freeman character you can play. He's kind of this, perfect, wonderful person that everyone loves and respects. And so everyone just feels very natural. And there was this, a special shout out to Frank Grillo, who plays a kind of hard-nosed detective. He also feels, like a perfect cast for him. He likes to break the rules. He kind of does things on his own and trying to skirt around some of the red tape to get things done. So the cast and the characters are just phenomenal. The second thing I loved about this movie is just the ridiculousness of it. The film is just all sorts of randomness. You've got random comedic comments, you've got random situations. You'll have a scene where a character is relaxing and all of a sudden everything gets shot up and they have to run for their lives, and then they jump on a scooter and everything goes wrong, but it's all in a very kind of funny way. And you'll just have these just one random situation to the next, to a high energy action sequence that also has plenty of humor in it. And the whole film is just kind of one crazy situation after the next, and it's really put together well. It's a very kind of funny group of events, funny characters, letting them kind of go into these over the top situations and do what they do best. And so, just the insanity of it all was just so much fun to see, and especially fun to see in theaters with a group of people. Like, I watch a lot of movies at home. That I saw this one in theaters, and it was really fun to kind of be in that theater environment and have people laugh, at the insanity of this whole film. And the third thing I really loved, and this was a kind of a surprise, although maybe this was in the first one, I just didn't realize, the music is also really good. And again, it's very random. So you'll have a scene with a very kind of soulful sound, song playing underneath it, and then you'll have a crazy car chase with like a rock metal song playing, and it all fits very well. And it is just like everything else in this film. It's kind of in very extreme direction. So the music will kind of take the situation and kind of pump it up and amp it up a little bit, and it all fits wonderfully. So together, I've kind of said it over and over, and I'm sorry if I repeat the same words, but this film is just a very ridiculous, funny, and over the top action comedy, and I don't think you'll be disappointed if you see it. It is just so much fun to see. Three things I didn't like about this movie. I'll be honest, the first, nothing. Like, I really like this movie. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but it doesn't have to. It's just kind of a really good summer action comedy blockbuster that you can go see in theaters, or wait for it to come home. But either way, you're going to have a really good time. I guess if there was two very minor things, very, very minor, like I'm just going with three because that's kind of my standard thing. Antonio Banderas' character, he plays kind of this Greek billionaire, but it's Antonio Banderas, so he doesn't really kind of fit in a Greek kind of character. His accent's a little off, his character's a little bit off, but whatever. It's Antonio Banderas. He's also quite entertaining, and he kind of does a great job as this kind of over the top billionaire, almost super villain. So I guess that would be one thing. The other thing is Ryan Reynolds' character has a penknife, or he calls it a penknife. It's a Swiss Army knife, but he keeps calling it a penknife. I don't know if maybe that's a joke from the first film, or if that's just something that was written in another kind of random aspect. Again, minor things. I went with, I had to come up with three things. Those are the only things I could come up with. Overall, this film is it's just a lot of fun. Like, after this year that the world has had, it's really fun to go back to the theaters and see this, funny action film that it will just kind of, you can go in and just kind of forget everything for an hour and a half and just laugh and kind of, marvel at how insane this film is. And everything about this film is insane. Like, the action sequences over the top. There's a lot of explosions. There's a lot of random death. There's a lot of gore. And, it's humorish gore, but there's a lot of gore. So keep all that in mind. But that being said, you should definitely check out this film. I loved it, and I can't stop smiling. It's just a really, really funny movie to see, and it's a funny movie to see in a group. So if you're comfortable going to theaters, I'd recommend seeing it in theaters. If you're not, wait for it to come out on streaming or DVD or whatever, but definitely see it. It's a very, very funny film. And so that is Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, which is releasing in theaters on June 16th, 2021. And it's definitely something you should watch. So definitely check it out. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot to make sure all my new content goes straight to you. And as always, please go to watcherpass.com for all your movie reviews and recommendations. Thank you.